Very good morning to all our viewers and welcome to yet another edition of Newsline, where we are hoping to bring you an insightful program today as well. And joining me today in the newsroom is Mr. Asoka Begunawardena. A very good morning to you, sir. And today we'll be speaking extensively about politics and economic aspects and some of the development aspects of the country. And let's just start off with something that is being spoken about everywhere, the budget. The budget. First up, Minister Ravi Karnanayaka. Now, the opposition or part of the opposition is planning on bringing a no-confidence motion against the minister. Now, this is not the first instance that they're planning on doing this. How exactly do you think the opposition is going to be successful in their attempts this time around?
Now I think the no-confidence motion is something to do with politics. It's not directly related to the content of the budget, though they try to interpret. And on the other hand, they are saying that they are ready to defeat the budget proposal. So both together, collectively, when you look at it, it should be a political strategy or a political program. At this stage, I don't think it will succeed. Because, as you are aware now, the political conditions in the country, the strength of the UNP, the strength of the SLFP, and the majority share is with Maithripala Sirisena, the president, and only a minor group is with the opposition or the followers of Mahinda Rajapaksa. When you look at the what happened during the last 10 months, 10 to 11 months, it's very clear that gradually the strength of the former president is getting reduced. So at this stage, it will not have a huge impact on the final results. Therefore, I don't think neither the attempt to defeat the budget nor the attempt to come up with a no-confidence motion against the finance minister will work. Instead, I think from today until the voting is happening, from the government side, they should take necessary steps to make this budget as a whole a budget of a national government rather than a budget of the UNP government. So that impression is not there right now. I believe the budget as a whole is not a UNP budget. There are certain principles of UNP in it, and there are certain principles of SLFP also included in it. So definitely it's more towards a national government budget, but the way it is presented indicated that it's totally a UNP budget. So that's why the opposition or the common opposition, the so-called common opposition, and the Mahinda Rajapaksa fraction believe that they can capitalize on it and defeat the budget, but it will not happen. I'm quite sure about that.
Mr. Begunawardena, you mentioned the strength of the SLFP. Are you very confident when you say the strength of the SLFP? Because for now, the SLFP looks divided. As in, how exactly is the president going to drum up support from part of the SLFP members to support the budget this time around?
Well, the strength of the SLFP, when you look at a year back, it was at the full swing against towards the former president, and then gradually at different stages, certain parts, certain sections of the SLFP joined Maithripala Sirisena. We are aware that when we formed the national government first, there was a fraction coming in. Then after the elections, we witnessed that the moderate group, Nimal Siripala, Susil Premajanta, and Anurapa, like ministers who were very senior SLFPs, they joined the president. And later on, when the ministerial portfolios were offered, we saw that certain key persons in the SLFP fraction, even during the presidential election, joined the Maithripala fraction or the majority group. So now it's very clear that gradually the strength of the Mahinda Rajapaksa group is weakening, unless otherwise something unnecessary happens from from the side of the Maitripala group, there is no opportunity for the Mahinda fraction to get hold of this SLFP. So I believe, yes, as I mentioned, firstly, President should intervene and show that this is not a UNP government, but this is a national government. Towards that, we need to make certain change in certain structure and the way it is presented, and some changes to the original proposal. So those things should happen. If that happens, then there is no opportunity for the Mahinda Rajapaksa fraction to come into the picture. To give you an example, now let's take the case of what will happen after the budget in the agricultural sector. It's very important that this particular budget is a revolutionary change as far as agriculture is concerned, because during the recent past there was no such a radical change in the agricultural sector, mainly because now the fertilizer subsidy is now moved and changed to a subsidy given to the farming industry or to the farmer. That will have a huge impact on the agricultural sector, which is a revolutionary, and which is a revolutionary move when compared with in the history in the 1960s during the Dudley Seranayake regime. Such a change happened by introducing chemical fertilizer and chemical agriculture. This time it is totally the other way around. Now the provision has been made to move away from toxic agriculture or the chemical agriculture to natural farming methods. So that is a huge, that's a major step forward towards sustainable agriculture, which was not highlighted in the budget speech. When you take the full package, we have a provision of changing the subsidy from fertilizer to the farming industry, and then there's a provision about 2 billion allocated for developing the small village tanks, and then there's a provision for providing storage facilities for agricultural products, mainly paddy. So those moves with certain other moves clearly indicate that there's a major shift in agricultural industry, but it was not highlighted in the budget speech. So that sort of a change, I mean, this is not an ad hoc thing, because at the President's office there's a major program, a food program, national program, which has compiled a complete program to move away from chemical fertilizers to natural farming. So that complete program is included in this budget, but it's not visible. So such things should be discussed in a different format altogether, to give the public the basic and the real message to the public.
And Mr. Asoka Begunawardena, we can, during the general elections, we saw some of the SLFPers joining the UNP and really backing them up before the general elections for them to gain support. But now there's a division. We can see that there are a lot of MPs rallying around the former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, and that is quite reflective when you see a joint opposition being formed, and we can see the budget, and there's a lot of questions of MPs even challenging the budget. What do you think is the reason behind this?
Well, challenging the budget is a reasonable case, because the way the budget is presented is more like against SLFP, not against the former president or the former president's former regime's policies. So that pushes the SLFP MPs to criticize the budget, but it should I believe in most instances these criticisms are constructive criticisms, not destructive criticism. Only a small fraction is coming up who are already sitting in the opposition, highlighting this as they are coming up with destructive criticisms like sabotaging or defeating the budget. But larger majority is criticizing this, and they are criticizing in a constructive way. Now, I believe the most MPs are not aware right now in which group they are belonging to, because day by day the situation changes. Now, after the present president, Maithripala Sirisena, became the leader of SLFP, those who were originally with SLFP and joined Maithripala Sirisena came back to SLFP, and then during the general elections they went with the UNP. So these MPs or the ministers, they are not aware to which party they are belonging to and which group they are belonging to. So day by day this situation is changing, but as a whole, as a general trend, there's no possibility to get to for the former president to get the momentum back, unless otherwise the present president and the government take certain silly decisions. So I don't see that will happen. So definitely, as president has clearly mentioned, that this government will survive the next 5 years without any doubt. So that will happen, but they shouldn't take unnecessary decisions in order to strengthen the smaller fraction in the SLFP for them to get the momentum.
Now, Mr. Asok Abeygunawardena, speaking a little bit about gaining power, and the Prime Minister had said that gaining power is easy, but maintaining the power is a bit tough. So do you think that they are losing grip, the government is losing grip?
I agree that maintaining the power is a challenging one, but that challenge should be faced by the government by taking necessary steps. Now, when you look at the present budget, when compared with the budget, the mini budget proposed in January, the mini budget was a short-term measure, giving certain concessions to the public for short-term measures. But this particular budget should have planned in such a way that this will clear the foundation for a long-term goal of attaining the sustainable development. There are certain important and constructive and bold steps taken, but that should follow with a comprehensive plan. If that plan is not there, then very soon the situation will deteriorate. I agree, but it's up to the government to decide which way the country will lead. I'm quite sure that the president will take necessary steps if the government is going in a wrong direction. There are pros and check balances way to overcome this situation. So this is an evolving process. Now we went through a certain period where we were concentrating on constitutional reforms, and we achieved certain things by establishing the independent commissions, and now they are functional. But in the long run, now if the government is revisiting to have a comprehensive, come up with a new constitution, then if you do not do it in the right way, then that may lead for the extremist groups on both sides, like Sinhala extremist groups and Tamil extremist groups, they will get strengthened. If that happens, then the strength of the moderate group will be diluted, which will lead to a chaotic situation. So the government has a risk, but if they are careful, if they have a firm program, if they are on a correct track with correct strategies, then there's no issue of handling the situation.
So do you think the budget is actually lacking a long-term plan?
No, I'm not saying that. Now, I have mixed feelings about the budget. In certain spheres, there are firm, progressive and revolutionary steps taken to achieve long-term results with long-term strategies. But it's not presented in that manner, so it's like hidden and giving the impression that we are going to remove certain subsidies given to the people. Now, if you interpret the change in the subsidy given to fertilizer, from fertilizer it is changed to subsidy given to farming, then it's the way it's presented is it's a step towards removal of subsidy. If you interpret in that way, then that will definitely lead to a disastrous situation. But what is planned is something else, which says that by shifting the concessions or the subsidy given to chemical for natural farming, then that is the first step of getting rid of the poisonous foods in Sri Lanka and creating new markets worldwide for organic food. So if it's the proper plan is there in place, the basic decisions that should be taken for the next year is taken in this budget, which has a long-term vision, but it's not visible. The way it's presented, it's not there. So that gives the impression that we are trying to remove the subsidy given. So instead of generating such a unnecessary chaotic situation in the country, wrong impression, the government should take steps to present their case in a firm way so that they can show that this is a long-term plan. And when you look at the energy industry, we can see that they have clearly stated that we are not going ahead with fossil fuel industries, and we will move and we will strengthen the renewable energy industry in the country. That's the long-term goal we were looking at. So that is there. And in the transport sector, it's a mixed feeling. Now, they have clearly stated that we need to strengthen the public transport sector. They have given certain steps for that, but I don't think it's complete, and there should be additional elements involved in this program for this coming year. But the short-term measures taken is, I believe, contradictory to the long-term measures, like trying to get rid of three-wheelers and motorbikes from the roads. It's a wrong move. We should first strengthen the public transport system, and that transport system should be strengthened in such a way that both the poor and the rich both can shift to public transport from their private transport. If we are not doing that, then if we are only allowing the poor to shift from their private transport to the public transport, then that will lead to unnecessary issues again.
The budget. Is this a poor man's budget or a budget that was designed to make the rich richer? Answers after this short commercial break. Welcome back to Newsline. Well, right before the break, I asked whether the budget is a poor man's budget or one that is designed to make the rich richer. What do you think about that?
As I mentioned, it's a mixed feeling. I mean, there are certain areas the budget is addressing to uplift the living conditions of the poor, mainly in the farming sector and also in the village level. Now they have an allocation of 20 billion to develop the villages. So there are progressive steps, and coming up with certain control prices for certain food products, and also giving control prices for the paddy purchasing, that addresses certain issues. But on the other hand, certain measures taken to attract investment for the country gives an indication that at the same time it strengthens the rich as well. So this is, on one hand they are addressing the issues of poor and uplift their living conditions, and on the other hand, in certain elements indicate that government is strengthening the rich as well. So I'm not saying that they have neglected one of these parties, but it's not the right balance, I believe. Now, for sustainable development, we should take measures to bridge the gap between the rich and the poor, disparity. That should be reduced. Otherwise, we won't be able to avoid having more and more aspirations which can be achieved by the general public, which leads towards unrest and then the political instability. So I believe the government should be very careful. Certain measures should be taken to attract investment and to get enough funding for the development work, but at the same time we shouldn't allow to increase the gap between the rich and the poor. Disparity shouldn't be increased, that should be reduced. So new discussion is needed right now to have the proper blending which is needed, which is now the national government is for that purpose, because as I mentioned, there are certain principles of UNP in this budget and there are certain principles of SLFP in this budget. It's a blend of those things which will make sure that the government is marching towards a stable development goal. So we need to have internal discussion, and it's happening right now within the government itself. There's a constructive dialogue to make certain changes. Now there are certain steps to take and protect the three-wheelers and the motorbikes by accepting that from getting that the emission testing and all that. So that constructive dialogue should happen, and by the end we should make certain changes to further protect the poor rather than strengthening the widening the gap.
Now, increasing VAT in turn increasing electricity charges. Now, you are an energy expert, so you would know exactly how this works. So do you think this is necessary at this point of time?
Well, at the end of the day, if the cost or the expenditure of the utility increases, then there should be a way for the utility to get that back. Now, if you take the telecom industry, you can see that the companies who are in the business get a fair profit margin. So by introducing certain taxes, at the end of the day the end result is, if tax is increased, then they can absorb that tax. But when you look at the water or power sector, it's not so. They are state-owned enterprises, and they are at a break-even point, so there has no way for them to absorb this added tax. So they need to pass that to the consumers, or to get additional funding from treasury for them for that enterprises to survive. Either way, that leads to that will be burden to the general public. So I think this may lead to increased electricity tariff, or that may lead to getting additional funding from the treasury to bridge the gap. But in the power sector, we have an added advantage at this stage. During the next 6 months, we have adequate water available in our reservoirs. So this is a historically higher level in Sri Lanka because of the heavy rainy season we had. So for the next 6 months, there will be no need for the power sector to increase the tariff. But we are not aware what will happen during the next 6 months. And on the other hand, worldwide oil prices are not increasing. It's stable, so there will be no added burden for the utility to survive. So additional tax involved will not lead to a immediate increase in tariff, because I believe there is a fair margin right now for them to survive. So anyway, if there's a profit involved, that will definitely go to the treasury again. So it's only a paperwork. So it's immaterial whether if they have a revenue, and if that goes to the treasury, or if it's break even by further getting through a tax. So it's just paperwork. But at the end of the day, I don't think this will lead to electricity tariff increase right now, because of the added advantage right now as the water levels of the reservoirs are high, not because of anything else. So that advantage is there. So therefore, I won't foresee that will happen in the near future. But in the water sector, I think I heard yesterday that the chairman is saying that they are running at a loss. So either the water tariff should be increased, changed, or the government should subsidize. So as they are state-owned enterprises, it's immaterial which way that's happening.
And Mr. Abegudawardana, we have less than 5 minutes on the clock. So very quickly, 2 questions. The last is, now there is talks by the Minister of Foreign Affairs saying that a new piece of legislation will be introduced repealing the Prevention of Terrorism Act. Do you think it's really necessary at this time?
Well, PTA, that happened during the war period. There's no question. Now we are moving to a new era. There should be certain changes made. But we should be very careful that the term should not be dictated by outsiders, the foreign elements. Because we need to know the ground situation, we need to analyze it properly, and then only we can make certain reliefs of certain changes to the Prevention of Terrorism Act. The intention is very important. Now, if we believe that we have consolidated the position, the reconciliation is happening, based on the improves that's happening on the ground in the society, only we can make certain relief measures. If not, if we are not thoroughly having a firm footing and we don't have the right reconciliation process right now, then taking these unnecessary measures will have a negative impact on the full process. So I believe we should have a firm reconciliation process right now, which shouldn't be based on the terms dictated by the foreign or the international community. It should be homegrown solution, a constructive dialogue between the communities, and have a firm program towards reconciliation. Then only we can make certain lifting certain clauses in it. If we are not following that in a correct way, then we should not touch this. That's very important, because this will lead to another round of strengthening the extremists in the country, which shouldn't happen. We should strengthen the moderates on both, on all, belonging to all communities. Then only we can have a real reconciliation process. So, coming up with a new act repealing the PTA will deteriorate the situation in the country unless we have a firm reconciliation program. Now, there are certain uncertainties regarding this, because the mindset or the view of the government on this matter is very important, because the way the Geneva issue was handled had mixed feelings. In certain areas we have progressed, but in certain other areas we have lost. So we need to have the right combination. So if they are doing it, they need to do it very carefully to make sure that we will be strengthening on the moderates, and we are not strengthening the extremists, and we are trying to dilute their strengths as far as extremists are concerned.
Well, looking at the global arena, there was news that Russian President Vladimir Putin is in fact accused of Turkey of backing the ISIS. Now, this is a side that we've not seen. This is a side that just emerged. What do you think about this?
Well, now, right throughout the period, we witnessed that Russia was flat out against the terrorist work. They supported the governments to do that, but on the other hand, I believe the America and the West as a whole, they did not have a proper strategy. That's why this ISIS is there right now, because they strengthened the revolutionary groups, the terrorist groups within Syria and Iraq. That's why we are facing this issue. So, though they did it, they did not have there was no campaign against that prior to that. However, Russia was always with that. Now, Russia is getting the momentum, and now they are penetrating the Western community and the Americans, that their stand is correct. So, unless they do it very carefully, the Turkey's mission, they have made a mistake by unnecessarily attacking. They should have handled that in a diplomatic way rather than gunning down the aircraft. So, I believe now gradually the Russian stand is getting hold among the international community.
Well, that brings us to the wrap of Newsline. We'll meet again tomorrow with yet another edition with a new guest. Same time, same place. Take care.